Ocean Story is with you, and I have new stories that touch me. I am 28 years old now. I came to America from Europe with my family when I was 16. Surprisingly enough, my family didn't learn English thoroughly. All my family knows only basic words. We live in a neighborhood where there are many of my countrymen, so language skills are not very important to us. Although I learned English because I wanted to get a job and not depend on my parents. My parents have an active business in Europe, so they don't need to work in America. Not long ago, I started dating my new boyfriend Lucas. We haven't officially met with my parents or family. My brother Mason was celebrating his birthday, so he invited us to celebrate. Of course, my parents were there too, and a bunch of Mason's friends. The day before my boyfriend and I were going to go to the holiday, I asked Lucas not to let his German skills show. It so happened that Lucas's grandparents had German roots and passed the language down to him. It was important to me that the first meeting went as smoothly as possible without any incidents. Lucas asked me how he should speak to my family, and I told him that he would have to use primitive words to communicate. It wasn't a big problem for my family to answer in English. They just couldn't speak it perfectly, and they would confuse some words. I deliberately told Lucas this so that he would definitely not start speaking in complex sentences with my dad. After all, my dad was the one who didn't want to learn English the most. He said that his business works well without English. He is a bit of a proud man. Lucas said he would try to be careful what he said. So when we sat around the table the next day and talked, Lucas asked my dad a question. My dad got a little confused and just stuck his spoon in his mouth like he was eating and didn't want to answer. I stepped on Lucas's foot so that he realized that he had overreacted. There were only 2 such cases in the evening. My dad was a little upset that my boyfriend Lucas made him be his fool in the middle of the guests. My mom said she didn't like my new boyfriend because he was rude. So after dinner, I talked to Lucas and told him that he behaved in a way that he shouldn't have. Lucas replied that he didn't say anything unnecessary, and the question was at a 4th grade level. But I said that I should have asked questions, like how long have you lived in America, and how are you doing in Europe? These are questions that my dad is used to and could easily answer. Lucas said that he did everything right and would not apologize. That night we had a fight with Lucas. I even started to think that he was going to break up with me. I felt so bad that night that I decided to call my aunt. I told her that I had brought my boyfriend to the party, but I had scared him to be careful. But at some point Lucas forgot about these rules and said something unnecessary, and all because I told him not to speak German. I thought my parents would not like it. After all, my mom and dad are very picky about those who start to speak bad German. I thought that Lucas wouldn't be able to speak normally. That's why I asked him not to say anything in my mother tongue. And in the end, everything went wrong. My aunt said that I had taken on too much, and now I was paying the price. The whole evening was ruined, and it was all my fault. After all, I put Lucas in an awkward position. He just didn't understand what he could and couldn't say to your parents. So it's only fair that Lucas breaks up with you. I was sorry to hear what my aunt said. She thinks that I am the only one to blame, but I don't think so. Amelia, I agree with your aunt very much. Why would you think it would be a bad thing? If your boyfriend spoke German, I think it would give him a better chance of being liked by the whole family. But you were very nervous and started doing something stupid. I know if I were your mom, I would be very happy that my daughter's boyfriend could speak the same language as me. In that case, it would be easier for the whole family to talk to Lucas and learn something important about him. But you have made it so that the whole family does not like Lucas. If he decides to leave you, it will be a very fair decision. There is no doubt in my mind that it is a bad decision. It will be perfect for Lucas, and it will teach you something. Logan, I don't know what you could expect from your boyfriend. If he doesn't know anything about your family, of course, he could have said the wrong words in his own language. You would have also started pretending to be an interpreter to make your dad look even more stupid. The fact that you blame Lucas is a very stupid decision. You're probably not used to admitting your own mistakes. Think carefully, it was because of your guidance that Lucas said certain things, and now you're using this story to show how stupid your boyfriend Lucas is. And it's not your fault, because you were silent and he said something. First of all, you have to look at your own actions, and then say that someone else is to blame. I'm actually surprised that Lucas agreed to not speak the language he knew. You can understand that your mom and dad could be discussing something in German, thinking that your boyfriend doesn't understand anything. But Lucas heard everything perfectly and knew the details of their conversation. You made a big mistake, so it's up to you to apologize to your parents and tell them the truth. My next story. My brother and I are currently doing very poorly at university. We just don't have enough time during university hours. He and I play sports, and that is more important to us. Our parents and Alexander are working now at jobs that don't pay much. Because my brother and I play for the university soccer team, we got special tuition benefits. Last season, we won the regional championship. So the director of our university met us halfway. But this is not enough to cover the subjects where we did not get a credit from Alexander. Our parents say that sport is great, but without studying, we will have bad grades. I see my whole life in sports, and I'm ready to spend all my time on it. But my brother and I are trying to study well, so as not to upset our parents and waste their money. This year, my parents and brother are not particularly happy with our grades. We barely get enough points to be transferred to another semester. My dad said that if things continue like this, we will have to leave our university and look for a job. After all, education is not so cheap for them. Even though we received a prize for winning that season and our director gave us a discount on tuition, this is not enough to make my parents feel good. My dad insists that I spend more time studying rather than spending my time training. According to my dad, sport is not able to support me. Now, while I am 20 years old, I am passionate about it, but in time it will not be like that. My brother listens to our dad more and sometimes goes to his friends' houses to study together. I don't like it. I've told my dad many times that sport is the greatest happiness for me, but it upset him every time. That week, I decided to skip a few days of college classes and better prepare for the upcoming game. My dad never came to my brother and I's game. It was his protest against us playing sports. My mom sometimes supported Alexander and me, but mostly she was for our dad. I don't blame them for that. I'm just very sorry that my dad thinks that sports will give me nothing but injuries and broken dreams. Maybe he is right about something, but I think everything can work out. If I show my skills well on the field, I'm very motivated by the world's greats. And I think that one day I will be just like them. When my dad found out that I had missed university once again and I went to the training, he wrote me a message that it was the last time. He paid for my college. From now on, I will solve my financial problems on my own. I was very upset by this. I understand that my dad wants me to grow up to be a good worker and have money. But for me, status or money are not that important. I want to fulfill my dream, no matter what it takes. My father was very upset by my position. He refused to talk to me unless I promised to pay attention to my college studies. I couldn't promise my dad that I would go to class more often or read the materials given to me more. I told my dad that I would try to change. He started talking to me again, and it seemed like the problem disappeared. But the next week, everything went back to the way it was before. There was an important game again, and I wanted to be ready for it. My dad kept his word and stopped paying for the university. I tried to negotiate with him, but it was no use. Even my mom tried to talk to my dad, saying it was too rude. But my dad said that until I had good results in my studies, I could forget about financing. Now I'm forced to spend my days only on college. My friends often ask me why I don't go to training. I feel very bad that my career could be ruined because of my dad's stubbornness. My coach talked to my dad on the phone, saying that I have a good potential for development and big sports. For a moment, I believed that my dad had changed his mind. However, he told my coach that only one victory is important now. This victory should be in a university classroom, not on a football field. I haven't wanted to cry like I did that day for a long time. I think my dad is taking my career too seriously. I am really losing my potential while I sit at home and read these smart books. Can I be considered a stupid child for such behavior? Harper, I'll start with a positive thing. You've decided exactly what you like, which is great. Boys your age don't even know what they want in life. I really like your perseverance. You remind me of my daughter, who is a master of sports and running. I know that parents sometimes think differently from their children, but that's only because we want the best for our children. We know that with a good education, a person has a better chance of having a good job and a good salary. That is why parents often say that it is more important to study than to do anything else. After all, in most cases, doing sports does not lead to anything. Many people go in for sports, but they become only amateurs or do it for themselves. They never achieve anything great in life. Your dad just wants you to be better than him. You should listen to him and try to improve your studies. I think you'll be a good athlete, but don't just focus on sports now. Evelyn, your dad is just ignorant. I lost the prospect of becoming a boxer because my parents started saying that boxing is too rough for a girl. As a result, I now work as a regular manager in a sales department. Every day I regret not taking up boxing. Your parents may be taking care of you, but they don't have the right to decide for you what you should become in life. Your father is manipulating his direct responsibility to provide you with an education. You get prizes for playing games. Even the dean of the university has supported you. This says a lot about your talents, but your father looks at life through the pages of books. You have to stand your ground and not let your parents waste your dream. If you don't do something now, you can forget about your future. Abigail, if you respect your parents, you have to do what they say. After all, it's your dad who pays for the university. If you don't get your head together, you're going to lose your dad now. You can return to sport at any time, but it's not an easy thing to get back in touch with your family. So you'd better stop thinking about sports. Do something that will benefit you. Sport rarely gives the desired result. Now I want to tell a different story. My fiancée Emma and I have been in a relationship for a long time. We've been together for over 6 years, but we just decided to get married now. My girlfriend also has a brother who is a little older than her. Liam has only one daughter and is currently divorced. Liam spends most of his time with his daughter, who is now 8 years old. I have never gotten along very well with my wife's immediate family. Emma is on very good terms with her family. She often talks to her uncle on the phone, and she can go to her mom's house several times a month. Liam is a bit angry with me because I refused to help him when I was free. Because of this, Emma's relatives think that I am not a very family-oriented person and do not treat me so well. When I was invited with Emma to her parents' house, I learned that Olivia had been injured when she was learning to ride a bike. Olivia broke her arm and index finger. How she managed to fall like that, I can't even understand. One day I walked by the couch where my wife Emma's uncle was sitting, and Liam was sitting next to him, and Liam's dad was sitting across from them. They were talking about Liam's daughter's injury. I work in a regular office now, but I used to work for 6 years as a trauma therapist. I knew better than anyone that in order to restore the hand and finger, you need to give the hand as much rest as possible. My wife's uncle, Noah, told me that his grandmother passed down a wonderful recipe for a special substance that heals all wounds. Liam listened to his uncle in the hope that his daughter would be able to recover faster. So I started listening to what Noah was saying. Honestly, it was completely absurd and I couldn't take it seriously. Noah was talking about the ingredients for the solution, but it was more like a potion from fairy tales or cartoons. I said that this solution is even scary to poison insects with, let alone give it to a child. They immediately became aggressive. Noah said, "Boy, you've never even tested it on yourself. How can you judge anything?" Liam supported his uncle. Liam said he knows his uncle more than me, so he trusts him more. My wife's dad just told me not to interfere in such an important conversation. I started to tell them scientifically that all these methods, with some unknown substances, would not be effective in case of a fractured arm and finger. Perhaps this mixture could give a bad feeling in the stomach area and, if consumed, could cause diarrhea. Only in this case can I agree with Noah, but the men got even more annoyed with me, saying that I was acting smart. A loud conversation started between us. In a moment, all the people's attention was on us. Emma's whole family was angry with me because I had ruined the whole atmosphere by trying to show off. But in fact, I just told them that when you have a fracture, you should keep your hand off the ground, not drink all kinds of substances. That week, my wife's parents had a holiday, but no one invited me there because my wife's father was against my presence. Liam and Noah were also at the party. These three men were strongly against my presence. I was a little bit offended that I was being disowned. My wife Emma and my child were invited to the celebration, and I was the only one left at home. Now I had a little fight with my girlfriend because I thought she would support me, but Emma just went to celebrate with her relatives. I don't feel good right now. I don't think I deserve to be treated like this just because I said that some substances that are pounded out of onions and carrots don't heal bones. Moreover, it was enough for me not to be invited anywhere else. Now I'm starting to think that I should have just kept quiet. William, my grandmother, looks a lot like Noah. I remember when I got sick with pneumonia, I was put on home treatment under supervision. The next day, my grandmother came and started her course of treatment. You know, it wasn't a bunch of tea made from plants she collected in the summer. My grandmother brought some substances in old bottles. They had a white sticker on them, which was put on so that the name could be seen. But those bottles were so old that nothing remained of the label. I can say for sure that those bottles were closed 10 years ago. Thank God my mother saw my grandmother pulling out several of these bottles from the bag and was able to stop her. After all, such methods of treatment are pure madness. I trust only herbal teas, nothing more. I don't want to die from some substance that is supposed to cure me. And a lot of people are still trying to treat themselves in this way, but they get nothing but harm. Ava, I would never in a million years give my son any solution. That does not have a medical patent. It's the same as mixing dirt with lemon juice and saying that this mixture should help strengthen the body. After all, lemon contains a large amount of vitamin C, and the earth has many useful substances, so it will definitely not be superfluous. And I was like, oh, thank you for this cool stuff. I'll drink it 3 times a day and give it to the whole family. Was this what Noah was counting on when he told Liam about his cool recipe from his grandmother? For me, a treatment that is not medically based cannot be applied, especially when it comes to bone fractures. I wonder if Noah himself took this substance. James, what kind of a fool is now able to rely entirely on a substance that he is hearing about for the first time? I am a man of 40 years, but I am still cautious about the medicines that my doctor prescribes. But apparently Liam doesn't understand that everything that enters a person has qualities that can either harm or not. I hope Liam was just listening to stupid stories from Noah. I would not recommend drinking this stuff seriously. The consequences will definitely not be better. Next story. My wife Isabella and I live in a small apartment with our 3 children. We barely have enough space to be out of each other's way. Our oldest daughter is Sophia, who is almost 18 years old. Our middle daughter is Charlotte, who is 16, and our youngest son, who is 14 years old, Oliver. When the children were young, it was not very problematic to live in a small house. But when all our children started to become teenagers, they needed more space. My eldest daughter often said that she would like to bring her friends to our house, but because there is no space, she cannot do it. We had a 3-room apartment, so the girls slept together, and our son had a small room. We had the most space, only in the kitchen and bathroom. An important aspect for me was that we always had enough space. One day, my dad came to me. He said he could give us a good amount of money to buy a new house. I agreed. He asked me to do a small job for him. My dad wanted me to help him with the housework for the whole summer. It was not a big price to pay for giving my family money. Isabella and I started looking for good options for our family. After 3 weeks of searching, we were able to decide. It was a house with 2 floors and 5 rooms. One room was to be left for my wife because she works as a massage therapist, and we set up a room for her to work in. All the other rooms were to be used for our needs. Then we decided that our bedroom with Isabella would be on the 1st floor. The next step was to determine which rooms would be suitable for the children. I forgot to add an important detail. The youngest son is not our relative with Isabella. He stayed in our family after the death of my wife's sister. We became Oliver's guardians 2 years ago. and we have 2 rooms for children again, but now they had more space than before. I thought that we would hardly have any problems with the definition. Problems did arise. My oldest daughter started to rebel that the room should go to Oliver again. After all, Sophia said she had lived with Charlotte all her life. So now that we have the opportunity to change everything, she wants a separate room for herself. Sophia justifies her actions by saying that she can't listen to her sister's silly school stories anymore. She says that soon her ears will bleed, and there will be no tears in her eyes. I understand that my daughter Sophia is the oldest and wants to be a little more free, at least in her room. I really want her wish to come true, so I went to talk to my wife. Isabella said she was against Oliver sleeping in the same room as his sister. After all, boys should be with boys and girls with girls. Moreover, Oliver has a difficult history, and sometimes he needs to be alone. I told Isabella that now we have a big territory, and our youngest son has a lot of space to be alone. That night, Isabella just didn't want to hear me. The next morning, I continued the conversation with my wife. Because we hadn't decided anything, as I expected, Isabella did not change her mind. She began to insist that I should show more attention and love to my own children and that I didn't care about poor Oliver. I immediately objected to my wife's words. Just because I say that Sophia can have a bigger room doesn't mean that I don't love Oliver. I just think that she has really gotten older and needs to have space so that she can invite her friends to our house. Oliver can share a room with Charlotte without any problems. There is nothing wrong with that. They are brother and sister. Moreover, there have never been any quarrels between them. My words had no effect on my wife at all. Isabella kept saying that we should respect the opinions of others, and she wants our younger son to have a big room. Then I said, why should a child who is a little over 1.5 meters tall have a room of 10 square meters? Isabella did not say a single intelligent word except, it will be better for him. We started arguing further with Isabella, so our children partially heard that we were arguing because of them. It must have been very uncomfortable for our son to hear all those words, but I'm sure that someone who is older definitely needs more space. I have the impression that Isabella has lost her mind a bit. San thinks too much about Oliver. Indeed, she asks about him more often than not. I understand that she feels responsible to her dead sister, but you can't keep the focus on just one child when there are 3 in the family. In the end, Oliver did not get a big room and lives with his sister. At the same time, he never said he was upset about it, but my wife thinks I'm a jerk. She told her mom that I was thinking about my victory, not the comfort of the children. I don't know what I should say to my wife to make her understand why I have this position. Does Isabella really think I am an evil father and husband? Benjamin, I agree with your opinion. It's like putting a small car in a big garage and vice versa. I have children and I know that children need a lot of space, so you shouldn't limit those who are older and have more space for a room. I am sure that it is impossible to do better than you have done. Yes, your son lost his own room, but now he has a great opportunity to not be alone in his thoughts. Oliver can talk to Charlotte about similar topics because they are close in age. For example, your younger son used to make bad jokes or talk to your older daughter. Your wife needs to go on vacation and get rid of some stress. I think over time, Isabella will become more comfortable with the children's placement. You need to be patient with her now and not be nervous. Mia, I don't understand why your wife is behaving so inappropriately. If she wants Oliver to have his own room so badly, then don't let him have his workroom. Why should children lose their rooms because of their mother's opinion? You are doing the right thing by standing up for your eldest daughter's wishes. I am sure she is very grateful for that. Of course, it's great when children have their own rooms and no one has quarrels about it, but unfortunately, things don't always go smoothly. Isabella treated you and your children with no respect and put her sister's son first. Isabella really went out of line and started thinking only about her son. I don't even know what to advise you in such circumstances. Elijah, your wife couldn't even explain her position, but she kept telling you that your son, who is 14, needs a bigger room. What is he supposed to do there? Children of that age are a little too busy to think about how cool his new room is, and now he can bring an elephant in there and play with it. Obviously, the bigger the person, the bigger the clothes they need. It works in everything. Even if you give 2 grams of potatoes to a man who weighs 90 kilograms, it's clear that it's not enough for him. If your daughter is almost of age, she definitely needs her own room. A story that really surprised me. I was going on vacation with my boyfriend to a wonderful resort town. It had been a long time since we had been on vacation. That year, we didn't manage to go because I broke my leg on my husband's vacation, and during my vacation, my boyfriend Ethan had to go and take care of his brother. For about 3 years, we were at home and only vacationed at the local beach, which was not that interesting to be at. Since we have 4 children, I needed that 1-week vacation mentally. Ethan had 3 children of his own who were not old enough. The oldest of them was 13 years old. I also had a 9-year-old daughter. I had always dreamed of a big family, but I could not even think that it would be so big. My ex decided not to deal with me. When he met my friend who seduced my husband, it was very unpleasant, but thank God I met Ethan. He is an incredibly kind man and a great dad to the kids. When we were on vacation, we visited a lot of beautiful places. I haven't felt so light in a long time. We scratched our names on one of the rocks and circled it with a heart. It was such a sweet moment that I thought it couldn't get any better. The next day, we planned to go to a local amusement park. There were many rides for adults and separate rides for children. First, we went to play games, which were very easy. In one of the games, my daughter was able to win a small giraffe, and my husband's boys played a game where they had to hit a basket with a ball from 10 meters away. Unfortunately, no one won anything and the children were upset. To cheer them up, Ethan took them to the amusement park. When Ethan bought the tickets, he took only 3 for his boys. I was a little surprised, but I didn't say anything. My daughter and I just watched them have fun. They returned from the ride when 7 minutes had passed. For a while, the children talked about how much fun they had and how they would not forget it. Later, we went on other rides, but my husband did not think to buy one more ticket. So Ethan bought 3 tickets for his sons again. I was surprised and didn't take it anymore. The first time, it was fair. But it's not right to entertain only your own children. While the children were eating cotton candy and popcorn, I stepped away from the children with Ethan to discuss this moment. Maybe I had misunderstood something. I asked Ethan what was wrong, and he said he didn't really understand what I meant. I said, "This is the 2nd time in a row you bought tickets for your sons only." Ethan said that he sees that his kids haven't recovered enough from the last bad game, so he decided to make them happy again. I said, "Why didn't you think of our daughter?" Ethan said, "She won the giraffe 20 minutes ago, so she doesn't need to be happy." I told Ethan that he was wrong, and my daughter was upset about it. Even though she's smiling, she's having a hard time. Ethan said, "I can't tell from her at all that she is in a bad way." I told my boyfriend that he should apologize to the girl and buy her a ticket for the ride. However, Ethan did not admit his guilt. He started making excuses and saying that our daughter should not be better than other children. So if he buys a ticket for only one daughter, his boys will be very upset. I told him that you can buy a ticket for all the children. Ethan said that the money was almost exhausted for today, and there were only 3 tickets left. I said it would not be a problem if one of the boys gave up his seat for a girl. Ethan said he wouldn't ask any of his boys to miss out on the ride. I got mad at him and told him that I couldn't recognize him at all. You used to be kinder and didn't think only about your children. Ethan said it was time to go back to the kids. After that evening, we couldn't talk to each other for a long time. In fact, I'm still upset with my boyfriend because he paid more attention only to his children. He thinks I'm a hysterical person who started a conflict out of nothing. I know that I may seem like that, but Ethan acted like an asshole, and that's a fact for me. Emily, your boyfriend is an asshole. He hides behind his kindness, but in reality he just thinks about his sons. Maybe your daughter is important to Ethan, but only when it's beneficial to him. At the moment when there was little money left, it was Ethan who made the decision who should stay off the rides. It was immediately clear that his fatherhood only works with his children. Have you ever noticed Ethan treating your daughter so badly? Maybe you should ask your daughter if Ethan has been rude to her or just ignored her requests. I don't think this is the first time this has happened. It's just that this time you saw Ethan's attitude towards your daughter. You're right that Ethan is kind, but only to his sons. I hate it when parents start treating other children with less respect. It's very disgusting and not nice. Such actions leave children traumatized, and it's not a joke. Jacob, your boyfriend, was very rude to your daughter. Ethan needs to learn good manners before he interacts with children. Why are his children more important than your daughter? Is it just because Ethan has more children? I think that's a bad excuse for him. You should hold this guy by the throat and make him apologize to your daughter. No parent would tempt their children to be jealous of others. If you don't have enough money for a ticket for all the kids, then buy something for everyone with the rest so that no one is offended. This way, the children will not be rivals, but will remain in a good mood. If he bought tickets for his children, but not for your daughter, it means that he clearly shows that he doesn't care about her, and you are just looking for reasons somewhere far away. But it's really as simple as that. Ethan deliberately doesn't want to pay for another child. You need to have a serious talk with Ethan. You can't ignore situations like this. Elizabeth, maybe Ethan was angry with you, so he decided to get back at you in this way. Then I don't understand why he would involve children in this. Ethan should have told you in advance that he didn't have enough money. Then you could have taken your supplies, and there would have been no problem. Maybe Ethan is just not used to thinking ahead, so he made a mistake. In any case, this action is very bad. If Ethan doesn't want to apologize, then don't waste your time with him.